Should you or should you not buy a $2.5 million property here in Singapore? Let's talk about this today. Hey guys, previously, I think 1.5 years ago, I actually did this video that was actually done, if I'm not wrong, start of 2024. Since now it's already like 1.5, almost 2 years later already, I decided to do a refreshed version with a bit more touches. The last option will be something that you don't really hear people tell you before, so make sure you stay until the end. Ironically, right, even though there are a lot of Singaporean millionaires, and in fact, I just went to check online, right, 7% of Singaporean adults have a net worth of USD $1 million at the time of recording. But being a millionaire in Singapore doesn't mean you are wealthy. Because you want to buy a $2.5 million property, you still have to watch so many YouTube to make sure that you don't leave any stones unturned, right? And jokes being aside, right, some people actually ask me during the consult, like, should you sell one buy two with a $2.5 million budget? Should I go for a landed property, 99-year leasehold one, or even a freehold condo, I mean? So the main question today isn't about what you can actually buy. To me, the more important question is what is sustainable and what is smart for your future exit. And previously I did this video also to talk about my own selection method when I'm looking for a $3 million property. In fact, what I eventually bought was about 2.6 over mil, and that really aligns with my own 3 golden principles. So we'll be using this as well as a guiding principle for what I'm going to recommend to you in the later stage of this video. As familiar as this song sounds, this is a tongue twister. As familiar as this song sounds, it's no longer relevant anymore, because last time Cipaban means you can full cash for condos. Now Cipaban, you want to buy one $3 million property, you also struggle. And he say, Cipaban want to take aeroplane to Japan, eat sushi, right? Now can only go Void Deck, eat Ichiban sushi only. Or not Void Deck, neighborhood shopping center. Jokes aside, let's get back to the video. Now before we move on to the next part, if you could do me a favor to like this video, I'm gonna show you my son doing a trick shot like Luka Doncic.
You scored?
Yeah.
Woo!
And if you see already, right, cute, right, but you haven't liked, right, so you must repent. Do so right now, please.
Thank you.
How this video is going to be done is, number one, all you need to know about buying a $2.5 million property in terms of the cost, the loan limits, and also the holding power that you need to consider. Next, we talk about my recommended option based on my 3 golden principles: sustainability, buffer, and mass appeal. So this will actually be my personal take, because recently I've been doing quite a lot of consult, and $2.5 million budget seems to be quite a norm recently. But of course, it's really down to how you do your financial planning as well, because buying a house is not the single only investment that one person can make. And last but not least, at the ending, I will tell you what you should be doing and which option could suit you in terms of your needs, your risk appetite, and also your investment horizon. Let's talk about what you need to qualify for this $2.5 million purchase first. Number one is your loan at 75% means is $1.875 million. With TDSR, you need about $16,400 household income to even qualify for that loan, provided you do not have any other like car installments and whatnot. So down payment wise is around $720,000, including stamp duty and the down payment. Legal fees is about $3,000, so $720,000 to $730,000 will be enough. So in terms of the resale, right, if you actually buy a resale at $2.5 million, the installment is about $6,500 based on 1.6% interest rate. CPF OA covers about $3,400, assuming if both of your income is actually $16,400 and both earn same income lah. That means $8,200 each. You'll be topping up about $3,100 cash every month from day one. So if you compare with a $2.5 million new launch, right, the first 3 years you don't have any cash top up at all, because basically your monthly CPF is actually covering everything due to the progressive payment. And actually, if you look at this table, right, at the end during the TOP, right, you will in fact be saving up more CPF OA, because every month you will have surplus all the way until it hits the TOP. Basically, same $2.5 million, but of course the new launch will actually have lower stress in terms of the cash outlay. But before you think that I'm another agent telling you,
Oh, you should just buy a new launch.
hold your horses, don't judge me first. Because later on, just to give you a glimpse, my options will actually cover a resale RCR, a new launch OCR, and also a sell one buy two option that you can consider as well. So if you have been judging me, I forgive you, it's okay. The next part, what will be my recommended way if you have a $2.5 million budget? I will fall back to my 3 golden principles, which is number 1, start saving and start investing as early as possible, because as we age, the amount of leverage will be impacted negatively. Number 2, constantly upsize your asset net worth by upgrading to the next asset class as soon as you can. Last but not least, always try to have a 18 to 24 months reserve funds, if not a 20% buffer of your available capital to tide through difficult times. So here's the thing, to me, money can be made everywhere. You want to buy stocks, shares, small businesses, or even you want to buy watches also can make money. So you need to ask yourself, if you stretch all the way to own the $2.5 million home, do you have safety buffer for rainy days, as per mentioned earlier on in my 3 golden principles? That's why I always tell clients, don't max out just because you can borrow. Just don't max out because your friend actually bought the bigger property, so you feel FOMO that you're not maxing out your budget. Leave some capital for opportunities, because property is a vehicle, so it shouldn't stress you up monthly unless you are the hustle mode kind of person. You feel that stress will make you work harder and outperform your colleagues or your peers or your teammates so that you can be a top producer or agents, because I know a lot of agents are watching this as well. Nothing wrong also. Why? Because this is something I tell myself, because I feel like at my age I can still take a little bit of stress and I'm still in the hustle mode trying to grow. So it really depends on you, but for the general public that your income is actually pretty much fixed per month, right? I feel that adding this stress may not really make sense lah. And by now, if you think that I'm being truthful and I spare a thought for your feelings and you haven't subscribed to the channel, do so right now, because we post weekly. Thank you. My recommended way right now, assuming if you find that what I said earlier on makes sense, right? $2.5 million actually is a max cap of your budget. What would be the sweet spot? I would think a $2.2 million property will make a little bit more sense in terms of financial wise, because that will actually give you a safety buffer of about 100,000 from the 720,000 that you needed, right? If you buy a $2.2 million property, it means to say that you have between 90 to 100,000 safety buffer for your renovations, for your emergency funds and all these things. Or maybe your wife want to go for the nice holiday, you still got money, go and do all this. Because if you ask me, right, delayed gratification is important. However, mental well-being is still as important. So I would think $2.2 million makes sense, because earlier on I mentioned my budget is $3 million. In fact, I can stretch to $3.2 million, but I actually bought a $2.6 million property because I allocated a 20% buffer on my purchase. You just need to sell at $2.64 million to make a 20% profit. That is actually a proven kind of price point. If you're buying a resale 2.2, the new launch 3-bedder in the RCI already sold at above $2.6 million. Means to say that you're entering with quite a certainty of exit in future. Because I always believe today you have to buy, it's not just what you can buy today, it's whether 4 years later will you tap your shoulder, or 4 years later when I give you a call to tell you, hey bro, time to upgrade already because your property make 20%. Will that be achievable? Will that make sense? Or rather, I can say that, is that a really tested and proven pricing in terms of the target exit price? Buy at $2.5 million next time means to say you need to sell at $3 million, no? And which if you think can, and $2.5 million is not your max budget, you actually have 20% buffer on that already, of course you can go for that. So for my 3 options under $2.5 million, right, first option will be definitely the favorite RCR resale 3-bedder at $2.2 million. Can you get something or not? Hey Marcus, I don't want the very old one. Yeah lah, I know lah, because every other day I'm doing consult with clients, and I know what you're thinking. RCR, there's this project called Trevista. It's not really that near to the MRT station. It's about 500 meters plus minus between 2 MRT stations in Toa Payoh. Everybody loves Toa Payoh, and you can move in right away. It's central. There's amenities and schools nearby. Of course, the trade-off is that your monthly cash top-up will be higher than the new launch. But of course, if you have a family and you don't have a luxury of your parents' place to stay, or you have but then you're not in very super good terms with your parents or your mother-in-law, I'm just kidding. Or rather, maybe you just can appreciate your own privacy and all these things, then of course the monthly cash top-up is definitely something that you wouldn't mind, right? Because your family is staying there. But if you ask me, if you're buying a resale, you need to be realistic, because right now if you look at the previous quarter, right, the new launch and the resale demand is actually matching up already. Means to say that buyers these days are also a little bit careful about paying record prices. The resale prices will actually grow according to our GDP, which is about 1.5 to 2.5% 2.5% projected for this year. To add on for Trevista, right now you are entering at this kind of price range, right? You are actually having a safety buffer on the nearby new launch by about 20 to 30%. So chances of losing money, very, very low. Making money wise, if you want to make a 20 to 30% profit margin, you'll be expecting a 10 to 15 year horizon. For the OCR new launch, right now, example, when we're talking about the Springleaf Residence, we already see places like Parktown Residence, people are paying 2425 PSF for the new launch, and in fact, Chuan Grove Parcel A and Parcel B will both be launching between 2006 to 2008 together with the Bayshore GLS. So if you ask me, buying something that is at the OCR, $2.2 million beside the MRT station cannot go horribly wrong, and in fact, the chances of making money, I would think, is almost guaranteed. That's my own point of view only. I guarantee, but don't happen, you cannot do anything to me. So take this advice with a pinch of salt. But this is what I think. That's why I put my money there. But more importantly, there's lower stress. And for the next 4 to 5 years, historically proven in such scenarios, right, I think the profit shouldn't be a problem making. But later I'll give my comments on this. Don't want to overstretch, talk too much on one point. Option number 3, buy a $1.8 million 4-bedroom in the OCR region and then save up for the next property purchase, which is using the second person's name. And why? Because the total upfront required for the $1.8 million property, example, if you are using Lake Life EC, you can actually get a almost 1,400 square feet 4-bedroom and it's relatively new. And so you don't have a concern about the space, and then you will still have a buffer of about 200,000 left for your next property. So the next property purchase, let's aim to buy something at $1.3 million and down payment will be about 360,000, meaning to say that minus your 200,000 balance, right, you will still be short of about 150,000. So the time required for you to save the shortfall, right, for if you save $5,000 per month, means you'll be trying to save for about the next 3 years, saving about $8,000 per month. You will take about 1.5 to 2 years, that kind of thing. Of course, if you are working in a sales job and all this, or you are a project manager and every year you will get your bonus and your bonus is very chore, that kind, right, then it's also good to do your planning based on that, because sometimes some of my clients, their bonus is more than their pay itself, or 50% of their pay. So depending on the industry you are in, so you can do your own calculation based on that. But based on monthly, you'll be expecting to save between 1.5 to 3 years. Challenge will be Lake Life EC got no MRT. Most of the $1.8 million 4-bedroom either is very old, or if not, is far away from the MRT station. And if you need some advice on whether near MRT or not is important, right, you can go check out this video which I done for Faber Residence. We actually debunk the myth of having to be near MRT to make money. In fact, near MRT, sometimes you don't make as much profit as those developments that are not near MRT station. But at caveat, I'm not saying that near MRT sure don't make money. I'm just saying don't generalize. So out of the 3 options, right, which one do you think suits you the best? Leave your comments in the comment section, because I would love to hear from you, because not every one of you will contact me. So at least you let me know what are your options and what you think resonates with you the best, so that we can have a bit of a discussion over here and maybe ideas for my next video as well. But to wrap things up, right, this is going to be a long wrap up because I'm going to share with you what I think which option of the 3 options suits who. But before we do that, right, if you're already very stressed and you see so many options, you also lose sleep just like me, right, this is my number. Feel free to reach out to me. Happy to do a quick discussion with you on what will be your best option moving forward based on your capital outlay, your risk appetite, and your long-term investment horizon. So in a nutshell, option 1, the RCR resale 3-bidder, for example, like Trevista, one of my favorite developments, it will actually suit families who have a strong need for own stay. That means you don't have an option to move in with your parents, and if your income is uneven, meaning you say if your wife is earning part of the income and the husband earns lesser, right, or vice versa, means to say combined you can qualify for one $2.2 million or $2.5 million property, but unlikely to qualify for a second property later. Means to say no point go and split, try to aim for 7x2 already. And on top of that, you need to be okay with a longer holding horizon, like 10 to 15 years before you exit. Means to say you already have other investment vehicles running already, and you don't really care whether this property 4 years I can sell or not. You're okay to hold 10-15 years, and you in fact don't really feel like selling, because I know a lot of people when they buy house, not everybody buy to flip 5 years one. Most people will want to buy and stay there for a longer term, because you want to have minimal disruption on your family, because like maybe PSLE, O levels and all this, completely normal. And in fact it's the most normal, maybe not all of you watching here because if you're spending so much time watching YouTube, most likely you have a shorter runway for your investment. But I'm not judging, just saying. So number 2 will be the OCR new launch 3-bedder at $2.2 million. Who suits this the best? I would think that if buyers are treating this as a capital building exercise and not just a pure own stay use or no own stay use at all, I think the new launch will make sense. And of course, you actually need to have a place to stay lah. Those who can stay with your parents for the time being, especially if your parents have a bigger condo or landed home or maybe an executive apartment. Of course, if your parents have a 4-room flat and your sibling is still staying there and your mother only has 1 room for you and you have a kid, right? Maybe not so realistic. You might have to consider the rental option. And if you are concerned whether rental is throwing money away, previously when I did the Norwood Grand $3 million property, I actually did a comparison on paying monthly rental while waiting for a new launch as opposed to buying a resale property and own stay. Which one actually make more money after 4 years? Actually, the new launch make more money than the resale lah. So you can go check this out after this video for you to have a little bit more clarity. This extreme person that I know, his name is RH, right? The initial. He more zai. He got 1 dog and now got baby by renting a room. So I salute to him. And that is a classic case of delayed gratification. It really depends on your goals and your aims. Some people, they are so clear-minded that this is what they will do. Sell the resale, buy a new launch, rent a HDB room just to maximize capital. So that's why I say, if you are somebody that has a very clear goal in mind, which is this round is actually a capital building exercise, not saying that you have to rent a HDB like my friend. I'm just saying that a new launch may suit your goals at this point in time, but you need to be a little bit more creative in terms of the resources that you currently have. Option number 3 will suit families with very, very low risk appetite and their aim to actually own 2 property or your desire to own 2 property is super high. I think that this is actually the lowest risk approach to go and do this. But of course, sometimes with low risk also has low potential as well, because $1.8 million may not give you a lot of options. So you will have to bear with the fact that you cannot stay near the MRT station. Yeah, it's an EC MOP lah. And for $1.3 million property that you're buying for investment also leaves you with very, very little options, because if you look at the recent launches, people who have $1.3 million budget usually have very little option lah. Basically, your queue number is not good means you cannot get anything already. And if you buy a $1.3 million resale right now, you're buying a 2-bedroom also. So 2 bedrooms typically, yes, if you want to hold this for long term and you are okay with it and you don't think you will sell over the next 3 to 4 years or even 10 years, you just hold all the way until you finish paying off your mortgage, I would think that this is something that may suit you. But no right, no wrong. This just gives you a very certain psychological reassurance that, oh, I will retire with $3 million net worth. Then I think that this is something that will suit you. In a nutshell, all the 3 options. Option 1, own stay, need is very, very strong, uneven income, and you don't mind a long horizon. Option number 2, you treat this as a capital building exercise, willing to sacrifice or delay gratification because you have very clear goals in mind. And option number 3 will be for people with low risk appetite, want stability, and you really need a bigger own stay property right now. So this sums up today's video. Let me know what you think inside the comments. Subscribe to the channel and like this video if you have not done so. And I will see you at my next week's video. Thanks for watching. Bye.